So the program is the preparation workshop for the portfolio reviews. And note that all suggestions and tips are my opinions from years of experience as an artist and a gallerist, as well as from input and feedback from other art professionals, such as art gallery owners and art organization executives. So as we all know, there is no one way to do anything. So you may choose to do things in a different way if you feel that they are best for you and your particular situation. So the Artist Network portfolio reviews are an in-depth review and critique of artists' artwork and presentation with recommendations for exhibition exposure. Each artist will receive 3 sequential 15-minute one-on-one portfolio reviews with gallery professionals. So you will be, this will be a round robin where 3 artists come in and there's 3 gallerists in breakout rooms, and each artist meets with 1 gallerist. And then after 15 minutes, everybody moves to the next breakout room. And so at the end of 45 minutes, each of the 3 artists will have met with each of the 3 gallerists. The reviewers will view each artist's website, which should include artwork images, your resume, bio, and artist statement. And I suggest that you do your research and read about the gallerists in advance to get to know them and their galleries. So you can go to their websites, which is on in their bios on the Artist Network website page for the portfolio reviews. You can look at their past exhibitions, artists that they represent, and read maybe some of their bio, or maybe even Google their name to learn more about them. And the more you understand where they're coming from, I think the better you'll understand their input and suggestions for you. So you may record the session on your smartphone if you'd like. If you do want to do so, you should start the recording before you sign into Zoom the same time. So you start your smartphone recording and then sign in. Set the phone near the laptop speaker to best pick up the gallerist's voice. And then I suggest that you join the Zoom meeting from the email invite promptly. So I will send you an email invite similar to the email invite that you got tonight. I will send it out along with confirmations that I will be sending between now and then. But I will send it out on Monday morning, and then also an hour before the portfolio reviews actually start. So you'll have easy access to the email invite. And so first you should check the current time using your laptop date and time feature or your smartphone time feature to make sure that the time is accurate. And I ask that you sign on 5 minutes before your scheduled time. So if you're scheduled for 6 o'clock, please sign in at 5:55. Or if you're scheduled for 6:45, please sign in at 6:40. Okay. And then I will review a few things with you and prepare you for us to actually start on time. So it's best to use a laptop or a computer for the session and not a smartphone or a tablet. Smartphone, the screen is way too small, and a tablet acts differently than a computer. And so you may have challenges with the Zoom session if you are not on a computer. Okay, so when you join a Zoom program, as you did this evening, you click join the audio conference, and then you click the video tab to be seen by the host and the gallerist. Okay, so that's just the logistics of getting started, and then we're going to go into the actual process of the portfolio review. So do you have any questions about signing in or preparing for the review before it gets started?
No.
Okay, okay, good. Okay, so we'll go ahead and resume. Okay, so you will be going to breakout rooms. So to join a breakout room, I will invite you to join a breakout room to meet with the gallerist. So you will see on the screen a button that says join breakout room. And it's usually in red. So I've found that Zoom sometimes acts differently and they update and change things, but you should see a red box in the lower right corner that says join breakout room. And you would click on that and then you go to the breakout room, okay? Then you will meet with the gallerists. So first introduce yourself and say your name out loud so they know how to pronounce your name. And then also they not only hear your name, but they see your name on your image. And then please be prepared with specific questions and goals for your time with the gallerists, as I had said before. And I have let them know that you will be doing this. And I have suggested that when they start to meet with you, that they say, do you have any questions for me, or what are your goals for our time together? So they'll prompt you to answer that, okay? So then the gallerist will view your website through screen sharing like I am doing now. So Zoom will automatically switch to the full screen to optimize the shared screen view. The gallerist will use any functions on the shared screen to navigate your website pages, click and open images, or scroll on the screen that's being shared. So you will hear the gallerist and be able to speak while in the shared mode. When they close the shared window, you will see the gallerist again. So they will navigate your website. And many artists that have participated in the portfolio reviews have said that it is an education unto itself to watch how the gallerists navigate your website, and that they're surprised that they navigate it in a certain way. And so that's interesting to watch how they navigate your website. Okay, and then after the 15 minutes, you'll be moving to the next breakout room. So I will broadcast a message to each breakout room with a 2-minute warning, and then again when it's time for the participants to leave the room. So on your screen, while you're watching the gallerist navigate your website, 2 minutes before the time is up, you'll see a green bar at the top of the screen appear, and it will say 2 minutes left. And then when it's time to switch, you'll see a message that says artists will be switched to the next breakout room in 10 seconds. So when you see that, it's your cue to wrap up. Now, sometimes I've had artists share with me that they don't see the green bar, and I can understand because they're looking at the website or they're looking at the gallerist, they're talking, and they're involved in the conversation and not looking for a green bar to appear at the top. So I'm also at the same time texting the 3 gallerists with the same messages so they are aware of the time frame. Okay, so I will then transfer you to the next breakout room. So if Zoom works properly, you'll just get switched automatically to the next breakout room. So sometimes it doesn't happen. So you might be able to click on join breakout room to move to the next gallerist, but you shouldn't have to worry about that. Okay, so if for some reason within the next 10 seconds you don't get moved to the next breakout room, you might look for a button that says join breakout room to move to the next gallerist. Okay, so, and this is really important, please do not take more than 15 minutes with the gallerist. So other artists are going to be meeting with the gallerists after you. So at the end of the 15-minute session with the gallerist, you may say goodbye and thank you and prepare to leave the breakout room. The next artist will log into the breakout room at their assigned time. If you are still speaking with the gallerist when the next artist signs on, please promptly say goodbye and thank you and leave the breakout room. So again, this shouldn't be a case because you should automatically be moved to the next breakout room. But again, Zoom doesn't always work the way it's supposed to. Okay, So at the end of the 3 sessions, after you've met with all 3 gallerists, you will leave the breakout rooms and come back to the main meeting and meet with me. So you will click on leave breakout room at the bottom right corner, or also Zoom has added a new feature that will allow me to close all the breakout rooms, which will force everybody to come back to the meeting. But that would force the gallerists to come back, and we don't want them to come back after the first set of sessions because they'll be meeting a second session, okay? So to leave a meeting from Zoom on your desktop, click on Leave Meeting at the bottom right-hand corner, like you see here in the black bar, you see Leave Meeting, and that way you leave the meeting. So you leave the breakout room to come back to me. We have a little conversation to wrap up and go over what transpired, and then you can leave the meeting, okay? So any questions about that process?
Nope.
No, it's pretty clear. Okay, I've tried to make it as clear as possible and kind of redundant as well. So it's pretty easy. Okay, so I had asked Kathy if she had participated in a portfolio review while we were waiting, which she hasn't in a long time. Lori, have you participated in a review before?
Not since I did it before college.
Okay,
I don't want to tell you how many years.
Okay, so it's been a
That was a
while.
long time ago.
Okay. Well, I think you're going to find it very rewarding and very worthwhile. So the next section, let's see, let's go ahead and resume the program. So the next section, I'm just going to kind of review a few minor things. So you may have a notepad on hand to take notes during the review if you want to make sure that you capture all the information. In addition to recording the session on your smartphone. And I highly recommend that you record it because it goes by very quickly. Meeting with 3 different gallerists, they say sometimes contradictory things, and it takes a while to kind of make sense out of it and decide which of the recommendations you might want to follow. So recording the session really helps you a lot. And I suggest that you let the gallerists lead the review. You let them lead and talk, and you respond. Listen to what they have to say and answer their questions clearly. So they're going to ask you questions. So when did you start doing this? Or why did you include this? And things like that. And so it's important not to talk too much because you're there to listen to them, to listen to their suggestions and recommendations and answer your questions. So be prepared to listen to the gallerist's suggestions and ideas for directions to take your artwork. And this is important. Do not be on the defensive to their suggestions. So they may say something that you don't agree with. So you don't want to fight them and say, no, that's, you don't get it. That's not what I want to do. You're going to waste time doing that. So it most likely will not happen. But if that happens, don't be on the defensive and do not be offended by their comments. And do not argue with the gallerist. So you want it to go smoothly as possible, so you get as much information from them as possible as well. And do not ask the gallerist to represent your artwork. They will ask you if they are interested. So I've been doing this for let's see, I guess about 6 or 7 years. And I've had about 45 artists that were picked up by galleries through this process. So not everybody is picked up, but some are. So if they're interested, they'll ask you or share that information with you, or they will contact you at a later date and ask to have a further conversation with you. So, and it's a good idea to email each gallerist afterwards to thank them for their time. So when you do that, you can also include a link to your website. So when they receive the email thank you from you, they can easily click on your website and review your website again. So at the end of the evening, I will email each of the artists and ask them to reply to the email for feedback about their experience. And in that email that I will send you, I will also include the email addresses of the 3 gallerists. So after the program, you'll get the email from me. You'll have the email addresses for the gallerists to email them with a thank you, and then you'll reply to my email giving me feedback on your experience. Okay? So please email me with a hot link of your artist portfolio website by this Sunday, October 5th. So I will review each of the websites of the artists, and I'll notify you if there's any problems that need to be addressed. So sometimes a page doesn't open or an image doesn't open or something's missing. So on Sunday, if you email me, or by Sunday, you email me with a hot link to your website, then on Monday morning, I will review everybody's websites and reply to you and let you know if there's any things that need to be addressed or if you're good to go. Okay. Artist website links will then be shared with the gallerists on the following Thursday. So a week from this Thursday, I will send an email to the 3 gallerists with the artist website links. And they have several days that they can review your websites before they meet with you. Okay. And we know that every artist would like more than 15 minutes with each gallerist, but we cannot ask the gallerists to spend more time than they already are giving us in one evening. So please do not complain that 15 minutes is not enough time. Okay. So any questions at all about the process for the portfolio reviews?
No.
Okay, so I did a good job explaining it. Okay,
Yeah.
so was this helpful to hear these instructions then?
Yeah. Especially about the, just the protocol of thank
Mhm.
yous. Um, yeah, I mean, most of it is just about being polite.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I did have an experience when before the pandemic, we were doing these in person. And one of the gallerists I overheard
Mm.
looking at the artist's website says, dots, what are dots about? I don't get this. And it's like, that was really rude. And I never invited that gallerist to participate again. But then the artist saying, well, and then started defending himself and spent the rest of the time talking without getting any additional feedback from the gallerist. So it just made me realize that I need to say, just don't get offended and let it go if something happens. But I know these 3 gallerists, and I don't expect that to happen at all. Okay, so many of the artists who've participated in the portfolio reviews have said that the program that I'm doing tonight, the workshop to prepare you, was as helpful as the portfolio review itself. So the next section that I'm going to go into is talking about your website, the content, and the organization and navigation of your website. And it's based on what I know gallery owners want to have your website organized by. I was a managing partner of an art gallery and art center in San Francisco for 14 years. So I am used to reviewing artists' websites, and I know what makes a good website and what makes an easy website for gallerists to review. And then I'll go into your artist statement, and we're going to read a few artist statements to just discuss it. So if you feel that you don't need to continue from this point on, you may leave the session, but I find that what I'm going to share with you is very helpful. Okay, so let's go ahead and resume. Okay, so the following section will cover the design and content of an artist's portfolio website. Many artists who have attended this program in the past have shared that this was as beneficial as the portfolio reviews themselves. However, if you're a longtime established artist with a well-developed website, you may leave the program now. And remember, I will be emailing you with the PDF file of the presentation after the program. So your artist portfolio website is your introduction to the world. This is the first place that people look to see if they want to go forward with acquiring your artwork. Gallerists, collectors, and potential buyers look online to verify your history and credentials as an artist, as well as to learn more about your work. It's come to be an expected part of an artist's business. So I buy art and I collect art. And so if I'm in a gallery and I see artwork by an artist, the first thing I do is take out my smartphone and go to their website and do a little research. And what am I looking for? I'm looking for a consistent body of work, that the work that I'm seeing in front of me is similar to what they are doing, and that it's not a one-off or something that's unusually different from what they normally do. And I look at their exhibit history and how long have they been exhibiting their artwork. I look at their resume to look at their education and things like that. So I'm looking for confirmation that this is an artist of note, an artist that has credentials, a professional artist. So do you have a website is the first question that a gallerist asks if they are interested in your work. Our gallerists look for a website that is user-friendly, simple, and direct. A good artist website is like a gallery or a museum. The artwork can't be all stacked up, overpopulating the walls. You need to give each item, whether it's artwork or text, space to breathe. Every page should have one purpose only. So you don't want to jam up a whole lot of different things all on one page. Okay, so an artist website should have the following basic pages: a home page, a portfolio page, and within the portfolio page, it should include an artist statement. And you can have separate pages for each series or collection, which I recommend. And then you should have a bio page. And on the bio page, you'll have your artist bio and resume with a photo of the artist. And you can have a separate page for exhibit history if you have an extensive exhibition history. So the exhibition history is normally in your resume, but if you're like me, I've been showing and selling my artwork for several decades. So I separate out my exhibit history onto a separate page because it's so extensive. And then you want to have a contact page. You can also have additional pages for blogs, news, or events, things like that. Okay, so let's talk about your home page. So when I ask gallerists, when you go to an artist's website and you land on their homepage, what do you want to see? And this is the number one answer. We're looking for an image of their best current artwork to capture our attention. The gallery owners share with me, if we go to an artist's website and because we have limited time, if on their homepage we don't see something that interests us, we're going to close it right away. So they want to see something that's going to grab their attention and make them go and research and explore more about the artist. They want to see a menu bar, and I like to put the menu bar at the top of the screen. Some programs allow you to put a menu bar along the left side, and I think that kind of cramps the images that are on the website, so I like it at the top. And the menu bar, I like to have home, portfolio, bio, if you have an exhibitions page, and then contact, any other that you might want to add to it. And then you can have image icons linking to the major pages, the portfolio page, the biography page, the exhibit history page, and the contact page. So you'll see on the diagram at the bottom of the screen, you'll see the menu bar at the top, a space in the middle for an image, or you can actually have 2 or 3 images in the center if you do a variety of artwork and one piece of work isn't enough to sufficiently share what you're doing. And then you can have icons underneath. So you can see there's an image and the word portfolio, an image, and the word bio, image and exhibitions, and an image and contact. So when I go to an artist's website, I usually end up clicking on images, not so much the menu, but on the icon images. So, artists and gallery owners are visual people. And so we are used to looking at images that stimulate us and make us draw our attention to click on the image. Okay. So any question about the website so far on your homepage? Yes, Kathy.
So I have my bio and statement on the same page. Are you saying that that's not a good idea?
Okay, so to me, the artist statement describes the artwork and should be on the page with the artwork. So you have a portfolio page, and let's just say you do 3 different series and you have an image for each series. You should have the umbrella statement for the entire body of work on that page. When I go to the bio page, I want to learn about the person. But when I go to the portfolio page, I want to learn about the artwork. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so again, as I talk to gallerists, this is kind of standard for them as well. So if they go to your portfolio page, they're looking at your different series and they don't see any artist statement, then they're going like, what's going on here? Like they may not understand what you're trying to express or say with your artwork. So if your artist statement is with your artwork, it's right there for us to review and refer to. And then you should have, and I'm going to go into this in more depth, but you should have an artist statement for each series. So if you have a page with series 1, you have a short artist statement for that series. What's unique about this series from the other series? And then your second series, what's unique about this series from the other series, etc. So it makes sense to us to see your artist statements with your artwork. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. I have another question,
Sure.
unless Lori has one.
We have
No,
plenty of time.
that's good. That was one of my questions.
Okay.
So keep going.
Okay, so the way my website is set up right now is because I do paintings, but I also do like installations and video. And so there are links to those things right there on the first page. Also, under paintings, I don't have titles for series. I have just like blocks of years. So they're like paintings. I mean,
Okay.
they have a similarity. You can tell that they were painted, with similar ideas. But is that problematic? I mean, do you think that I should really try to pull out? I rarely, plan a series. Things kind of fall into a pattern over time.
Okay.
And yeah.
So I do understand what you're saying.
Mm.
First off, you do 3 different media. And so it makes sense to separate your website into paintings, installations, and video. So that could be on your homepage, or you can have a portfolio page that has those 3. But if it's on your homepage, you have an image of each of the 3, and then a link to the page for paintings, a link to the page for installations, and a link to the page for videos. So that all makes sense, and that's fine. If I go to your paintings page and you have been painting for a number of years, I'm an artist myself. What I was doing 10 years ago is very different for what I'm doing now, even within the same theme. So we grow, we evolve, we change, we experiment. So if you have a series that's been ongoing for 10 years, it could be subdivided into subcategories. So you could have evolved into doing this or adding animals, which you didn't have before, or changing colors or make a larger scale or investigating some new concept related to your overall subject. So gallerists have shared with me that they feel that it's important for an artist to separate their artwork into distinct series because, and again, this is what they share with me. We go to an artist's website and there's 3 different series. We're probably not going to, if we're going to include the artist in a show, if we're going to include their artwork or give them a solo show, we're probably not going to pick 3 from series 1 and 2 from series 2 and 1 from series 3. We're going to do all one series. We're going to bring in all of series 2 or select from series 2 because it's a unified, coherent body of work. So that's what they want you to demonstrate on your website. So if your entire body of work of paintings is coherent, cohesive, all the same theme, and it all looks like the same artist, and it could have been all done in the last year, then fine. But if there's distinctive differences from year to year or from era to era, you might want to break it up. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's what they're looking for. So if your website is set up by dates, you know, if you're going to have 2025, 2024, I want an image for 2025 and I want an image for 2024 and I want an image for 2023. I've gone to artist websites where they just have the years listed and it's like, it doesn't, I'm not going to click on anything because it doesn't stimulate me visually. It doesn't give me any information. So having at least an image for each year is helpful. Okay, Kathy?
Got it. Yeah.
Okay. And Lori, do you have any questions before we move on?
Now, I mean, one of the main reasons that I was attracted to this is getting feedback on the structure and the breakout of what you would call your different portfolios within
Right.
my work.
Yes.
And I've done it different ways, and I'm just trying to feel like, and I've been debating on whether to change my platform. And before I do that, I thought this would be a good way to get some feedback so that if I do change platform, because there's a couple things I can't do that I want to do on it, I'll have a good idea of how to restructure it. So I only do it once and not
Yeah, that's a good
have to go
idea.
rebuild it
So
again.
what I want to do tonight is share with you what I've learned from all the gallerists. And then in 2 weeks, when you meet with the gallerists, each one is going to give you their input on the design, the content, and the navigation of your website. And you can specifically ask that as well. They're also going to critique your artwork. And I asked them if they know of any potential exhibition opportunities. Like say, you know, you're an artist in California, you should check out La Jolla or Solana Beach down in Southern California. You know, any things that they may have to recommend for you for exhibition opportunities as well. So they're going to review your website content and navigation. They're going to review your artwork and give you feedback on that, and then exhibition opportunities. Okay. Are we ready to move on to the next section?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about the portfolio page, so which I already kind of talked about. Okay, so your portfolio page should be organized into series or collections in a way that makes sense by theme or subject or by media. Some people break it up by year, but I think theme or subject matter actually works the best. So here's an example of a portfolio page. And Kathy, you may not have a portfolio page. You have your homepage. So you might put your artist statement for your entire body of work, your umbrella artist statement on your homepage below your images. But here is a portfolio page. You see series 1, series 2, series 3 with the umbrella artist statement underneath it. So you have an image linked to each series to entice the visitor to click and view that individual series. You may have your umbrella artist statement on this page. So before I go and investigate the different series, I can read about what your total body of work is about. Then you go to a series page, and the series page will have the title of the series. a short artist statement about that series, and then images of the artwork. These should be thumbnail images that people click on, and then they get larger so you can see it in a lot more detail. And when I ask gallerists how many images should be on a page, they say 10 to 20. They say no more than 20 because then it gets to be overwhelming and we just stop scrolling. And at least 10 because we want to see evidence that what you're doing, you're good at. So if you do 3 paintings and they're great, can you make 5? Can you make 10? Can you make 15 that are all great as well? And if we're going to exhibit your work, we may want to have 10 pieces or more. So we want to be able to choose amongst all your work. Then they can click on each image to see a larger view, as I mentioned, and they can, when you click on the larger view, you get detailed information, and it could include images. If it's 3D work, you have different sides or close-ups, and then all the relevant information about the piece, the title, the media, the year, the price. And a lot of artists are now adding a short description about the piece. So they might say, you know, I included a yellow pipe in this still life because my grandfather smoked one like this, and it brings me back to a time when such and such. So you should definitely have the title of the medium on here. You don't necessarily have to have the year, and you don't necessarily have to have the price. Okay, so you include your artist statement for each series on the series page, and you can link to a separate page to see additional works in the series. So if you have more than 20 pieces, so I am very prolific, and each series that I make, I do 50 pieces. I've done 175 pieces in one series. So I can't put 175 pieces all on one page. So the gallerists say you can have a link to a separate page to see additional works in the series. So you'll notice at the bottom of the example, it says, click here to see additional works. And they can click here to see more work within the same series. So you'd want to put your most current, best pieces on the first page, followed by other pages with more work. And they also say you should never mix sold and available pieces on the same page. So you can have a link to a separate page to see sold works. Now, I've experienced this myself many times when I've gone to an artist's website and I'm looking at their artwork and I'm selecting pieces to include in our upcoming exhibitions. And I see a piece, and oh my God, this piece is great. This is the piece I want. And then I contact the artist and they go, oh, I'm sorry, it's sold. Well, it really puts me off, and maybe I'll take the time to go back and pick out a second piece. And then I've had experiences where they say, oh, well, that's sold too. And then I just go, well, never mind, we won't include you in the show. So you don't want to shut down the gallerists because you're confusing them. Or even if you have an image on the page and it has the word sold across it or below it, I look at all the images on that page and I go, oh, that sold piece, that's the best piece. All the others are not as good. Therefore, I'm going to skip this artist. So you don't want to compare a really great piece that's no longer available to the other pieces that are available. So you put the sold pieces on a separate page. Okay. So now we're going to view some examples of artists' websites. So let me go in the background and open up the Artist Network website. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to screen share this. So this is the Artist Network website, and I have a page called Resources. And if you click on Resources, you'll see that there's all sorts of resources for artists. You can refer to this anytime that you want. And if you're a San Francisco Bay Area artist, you can click here and it goes to resources specifically for San Francisco. But if you notice that it says artist portfolio website examples, it's the last item on the page. So we'll scroll all the way down and you'll see here, there's hot links to artist websites. So let's look at a few of these and we can talk about how they set this up. So here's Suzanne Frazier, and let me zoom out so we can see her whole page. And you can see she has an image on her homepage that grabs our attention. She has a paintings page, an etchings page, a process page, an about page, and a contact page. So we're at the paintings page, which is basically her portfolio page for her paintings. She has an image of each series, and then she has the title of the series underneath. So let's go and look at this series here. So this is Tide Logs, and here is a short artist statement along the side, and here's images. Now, I prefer to have a grid pattern where there's like 3 across and, 3 down or 4 down, because then I can view all the pieces all at one time on a page. Here she has one image, you scroll down to the next one, and you keep scrolling and you keep scrolling. Now, as I'm scrolling, I go, oh, well, this one has some turquoise in it. And then that one does too. Oh, maybe I'll pick out some pieces that have orange and turquoise. Now, which ones have orange and turquoise? Scroll, well, that one does. Scroll up, scroll up, scroll up, scroll up. Oh my God, I'm getting tired of scrolling. I know there's another one with turquoise. You don't want to make it challenging and difficult and time consuming for the gallerist to view all the images on your work. So if they're set up in a grid pattern, I can see all her pieces in the series all at one time on the page. And then I can pick and choose which piece I like the best. Okay. So let's look at another artist. Here is Beverly Patterson. And here is her portfolio page for 3D artworks. So let's click on one. And here she has a brief artist statement about her 3D geometric tiles. She has a sample piece and large image. And then you'll see, because they're 3D, she has different views from the sides and from the front. And she has different designs to choose from. Okay, so you can, let's go to another one. Let's just look at US. So this is a one-off piece. So she has it on a separate page because it's a very strong piece relating to what's going on in the country today. Okay, so let's look at another artist. This is Anka Brown, and this is her homepage, and she has 3 different images because she does 3 different types of styles within her work. She has a series page. We'll click on the series page, and here are 8 different series. So let's click on one and look at what she's doing. So you can see the different images here, and then click on one. We can look at it through a slideshow presentation, or I can look at one at a time, close it, and say, oh, I really like the colors in that. Let's find another one. Oh, this one also has colors like that. Oh, those two would be great together. So you can either use a slideshow or go individually. Her work is 3D, so what she did here is created a separate slideshow that shows close up of her work. So you can see it from angles and tell that it's 3D. Okay. And let's look at another artist. So there's quite a few artists here. We're not going to look at every page, but you're welcome to go to the resource page and look at artist work at any time. Now, this is Lori Rhodes' art, and you'll see she has a slideshow taking up the entire screen of her homepage. When I go to the homepage, I go, oh, I like this piece. I like that gold. Look at those colors. Wait, I'm not finished looking at that. Well, this is a great piece. Okay, look at that. Wait, I didn't even finish looking at that one. It's moving at its own speed, not at the speed that I want it to move at. And therefore, it's frustrating and challenging to me. Okay, so you go to her portfolio page and she has an image. She has 4 images, one for each series. So you can click on hierarchy. And here is a artist statement about that series. And then she has the images of her work. See, this is a grid pattern. So you can see that there's 3 columns, and you can scroll and see the different works. And then she also created a separate page you can click on and see images of the work on display in people's homes or other settings. Okay, so let's go back. Let's just look at one more. Look at this again, verse and line. Here's a short artist statement about that series. Here's her grid pattern with their different works. And then we can click on one image. It gets larger. Here is the title, the size, the medium. And this is sold. So she's doing what I suggest that you don't do. That now I like this piece of best of all on all the page. So maybe I'm just not going to invite her to be in our show, since that one piece that I like the best is not available, that it's already sold. Okay, so we'll go ahead and stop share. Okay, so any questions about what we reviewed about the portfolio page and the series pages?
I was just wondering about this one artist whose works are rectangular, but she created a grid where everything is square.
Good question. I thought about, should I bring this up now or later? So I've asked gallerists, when you look at an artist's website and there's different shapes and sizes of each piece of work, do you want a page where some are horizontal and some are vertical and some are small and some are square and some are large? Or do you want them, the grid, to be all the exact same shape and size? And they say, we prefer the latter, all the same shape and size. Then when we go through the slideshow or click on the image, then we see the whole thing. They have commented to me, it just looks messy, having some vertical, some horizontal, some empty space here, empty space over here. It's, you know, asymmetrical. It just is not appealing as a total grid. So I do that myself with my website for my artwork. And so that is the majority of the artists, the gallerists that I talk to have say they prefer that it all be the same shape and size.
Hmm.
And
So
again,
obviously, some of those are details as opposed to the whole piece. They have to be because they're cutting off. If it's a vertical, let's
yes,
say it's a
if
tall
it's
vertical
long
piece,
and
they
narrow,
have,
you're only seeing the middle of that.
right,
But
right.
I want to see an overview. So as I said at the very beginning of this program, you may do things in your own way. There's no one way of doing anything. These are just my suggestions from my own experience and from the art professionals that I know. So if you feel like, no, that's not the way you want to do it, then don't do it that way.
Got
Okay.
it.
Okay. And Lori, do you have any questions?
No, because you addressed, I've been taking some notes
Okay.
as far as the breakup on theme and subject matter. I'm hoping I can get some direction on there because you start thinking of, I end up with too many. You know,
Yes,
can
so
you
that's a
have
good,
too
that's a
many?
good comment that you said, because you can have too many. So when I ask gallerists, how many series should an artist have? They say, well, 1 or 2, it seems like not enough. So like 3, but like no more than 9. Like 9 is a lot of different series. So, and you try to break it up in a way that makes sense. And again, think about if they're going to invite you to have an exhibition in their gallery, what body of work would all go together to make an exhibition? And, you know, some of the gallerists that I've talked to said, you know, it's like the artist is telling me this makes an exhibition, this series makes an exhibition, this series makes an exhibition, and it makes it easier for us to make a decision.
Because one of the things that I've been running into is, I feel like the gallery world wants to see it in one way, but then I work with a lot of interior designers and they want to see it in another way. And is it okay to have the same images in two different
Okay,
areas? Because like the interior designers are, I mean, their focus is on color, size, price point. The gallerists are more in themes and cohesive
right.
things
So
that
you,
go together. So,
yes. So some artists create a separate page on their website for the trade or for artist consultants, interior designers, or for custom and commission work. So here is Paul Westacott, and he creates a separate page working with design professionals. So it's kind of like what you're just talking about. He has
uh-huh.
a catalog, so you can click on the catalog and go look at the images, or you can actually get a digital PDF file of his catalog of all his artwork. So you could, depending on what you want to do, you can create a separate page for interior designers or for art consultants that then has it organized by color or organized by price point. But if I, as an art purchaser, go to your website, I'm probably not picking it by color like a designer is. I'm picking it by like the subject matter, what speaks to me, what grabs my attention, what I fall in love with. And it doesn't, to me, it almost doesn't matter what color it is. It's what it says to me. So what you want to present to potential purchaser or a gallerist is different from what potentially an interior designer might want to look at. So you could create a separate part of your website for the trade. Okay?
Yes. Thank
Any
you.
other questions? Okay, so let's go ahead and resume the presentation. Okay, now we're going to talk about your bio page. So a bio page, all the gallerists say you should include a photo of you. So this goes a long way in humanizing you in a digital world. Include a headshot at minimum, but also consider pictures of you working in your studio or you're at your exhibitions. What I love to see is an artist in their studio. What's their work environment? And I want to see them painting or creating a sculpture. I want to see how it's made. I want to get like a peek into the behind the scenes, view. Um, and then you should have a resume. A resume should give on your bio page, you have an artist's resume and you have an artist's bio. So a resume should give the reader a sense of who you are. A resume is written in a list format in reverse chronological order. So the most recent entries come first and it goes backwards in time. And your different headings can include personal, education, exhibition history, awards, residencies, press, teaching experience, affiliations, which means organizations that you're a member of, and related experience. So you can choose which headings you want to use in your resume. Your artist resume should be straightforward and comprehensive, free of any personal theories or beliefs. Only include employment history if it is pertinent to your artwork or your artist career. If you are an emerging artist, you may want to list your achievements as a student. So your bio page, resume, you should keep your resume up to date. I go to so many artists' websites, I go to the resume and there hasn't been anything entered for the last 3 years. Are they still alive? Are they still making artwork? Did they retire? What's going on? So you want to keep it up to date with any art training or education you have, any of your exhibition history, any prominent collectors, awards, or publications you've been in, and any teaching experience. Again, when I ask gallerists, what are you looking for in an artist's resume? They say, we're looking for demonstration that the artist is professional, that this is their career. Okay. Then in your resume, you have your exhibit history. And as I mentioned before, you can place it on a separate page if there are a sufficient number of exhibitions. You should use a consistent standard format for each entry. So always use the same format, the same order. So these are examples. This is the way I like to see the entries, the title of the exhibition, what type of exhibition, the venue, the city, the state, the month, and the year. So we have the tiny group exhibition, Studio Gallery, San Francisco, California, December 2019. Sometimes this can be a little awkward, like Berkeley Art Center 2020 Artist Annual Exhibition, Berkeley Art Center, Berkeley, California, January 2020. So Berkeley is shown 3 times, Berkeley Art Center twice, the word Berkeley 3 times. It's a little bit overwhelming. But that's the title of the exhibition, the venue, the city, and the state. The other thing that I do that I think is really helpful is if you submitted to a juried show, there is a juror, and the juror is usually somebody of note, a gallery director or an organization curator or the curator for a museum. So you should include the juror's credentials because that romances the entry. So I put all my juried exhibitions under a separate category, and I list them with the name of the show, the venue, the city, state, and the year. And then on the next line, I put in juror, colon, the name of the juror, their credentials, the organization they're affiliated with, and the city estate. So you'll see for the Chaos National Juried Exhibition at Art Gallery, Betty Sue Hertz, who was the director of visual arts at the Yerba Buena Center for the Arts, which is a main art center in San Francisco, was the juror and who selected the work. So sometimes the juror is more prestigious than the venue that you're showing your work at. And then if you have your artwork included in the same venue over and over again, whether it's a juried auction, a juried exhibition, or a group exhibition. If you're a member of an organization, they have member shows multiple times a year. Instead of listing it again and again and again and again, you could just put one listing and then the year span 2015 to 2019. Okay. So what are some of the headings that you can use in exhibit history? I like to put the most prestigious heading or category first. Museum permanent collections, corporate collections, one-person exhibitions, two-person exhibitions, juried exhibitions, recent group exhibitions, benefit auctions, gallery representation, and art consultants. So if you don't have your work in any museum permanent collections, then you just don't include it. But you can see that the most prestigious is to the top, because again, if you have an extensive exhibition history, people may end up not going, scrolling all the way down to the bottom. Then on your bio page, you should have an artist bio. Your biography should be a brief statement of who you are as a person and as an artist. It should be written in the third person from an objective point of view, as if somebody else is writing about you. It gives it more credibility when it's written in the third person. Your artist statement is written in the first person. These are my ideas. This is what I want you to experience. But your artist bio is, Susan has been an artist for the last 30 years and, she did this, okay? Describe where you are from, any relevant education, training, or experience you've had, something unique about yourself and your current work and goals. Include a few important factual highlights of your education, exhibits, or art awards, art-related experience. So for example, my artwork is in the permanent collection of the Riverside Art Museum. And so that's in my resume, but I highlight that in my bio because it's an important thing, because it's in a permanent collection. Okay. You may include a photograph of yourself to make the biography more personal and put a face to your name. So also on your website, you should have a contact page. Again, you should have a photo of you. You should state your studio location, city, and state. You don't have to put your address if you don't want, but you wouldn't believe how many artists I go to their website and doesn't say where they are. Are they in California? Are they in Texas? Are they in New York? It makes a difference. I need to know the city and state because I need to know the logistics of if I'm going to invite you to participate in a show. And if I get really excited about an artist and I want to include them, I'll pick up the phone and call them if there's a phone number. So you should have your email address and phone number if you feel comfortable doing that. On your contact page, you can have your social media links to Instagram, Facebook, or anything else. And then you can have a contact form for people to sign up for your mailing list. So let's go look at some examples again. So we're going to screen share back to the Artist Network page, and we're going to look at some examples. So let's see, there's different ones here. So let's look at Janet Jones. And here's her website. And she has a variety of images of work that she does. Here's her biography. So she has a bio statement about her. There's no picture. There's nothing that makes it interesting to look at on this page. It doesn't grab my attention. A picture would be so much better. And the same with their contact page. And it doesn't even say what city or state she's located in. So, you know, this is very frustrating. Okay, so let's look at another artist. Let's look at Usha. So Usha, this is her website, and she has an about page. So let's go to her about page. So she has a video here, and she calls this her artist statement and then her biography. So her artist statement is really her bio. So it says that when I was a young girl, I enjoyed walks in the Indian countryside. And then I looked at sanctuary and nature, and I had harmonious balance with subconscious landscape. So she's not really talking about her artwork, more like her history. So this is more of her bio page. So the artist statement, again, I think is best on her portfolio page. Then she has a CV, and the CV is the same as a resume for an artist. She has her education, her awards, and she has it listed chronologically in reverse. She has gallery representation, corporate collections, solo exhibitions, selected group exhibitions. And you can see it's quite extensive. Her bibliography, of which her artwork's been included in press, affiliations, the organizations that she's affiliated with, private collections. So this is one of my, I guess, pet peeves. So Susan Stewart in Los Angeles, California. I have no idea who that person is. Rita Whiteman at Hayward, California. I have no idea who that person is. You can just put a list, a bunch of names and cities and states, and how would I know if they're really true people or not? I mean, it just doesn't give any information to me. So if you're in a collection of somebody like Larry Ellison or Matt Damon or somebody that everybody knows, you know, let's just say Gavin Newsom, someone that people know, or someone that has a title in an organization or a company that people would recognize, then include that in your collection list. But people that I don't know who any of these people are does nothing to impress me about their resume. So let's look at this guy, Stephen Wagner. Who is he? Let's look at his exhibitions. So this is my exhibition history, and this is my museum permanent collections, corporate collections, private collections. You'll see Andy Campano, I always have a hard time pronouncing her name, Camponi. She's the museum manager and curator of the Lancaster Museum of Art and History in Lancaster, California. And she bought a piece of my artwork for her personal collection. So she's somebody in the arts. She's the curator of an art museum in California. So here's one-person exhibitions. Here's juried exhibitions, and you can see how I listed the name of the exhibition, the type of exhibition, the venue, the city, the state, the month and the year, and then the juror, Jeff Nathanson, the executive director at the Museum of Sonoma County in Sonoma, California. That's somebody major, okay? So let's look at another one, National Collage Society. This is the juror was Corey Peak, the professor of art at the Eastern Oregon University. Okay, so you can see examples of how that's set up. Then recent group exhibitions. Again, they all start with the title, the type of exhibition, the venue, the city, state, month, and year. And then exhibitions at art galleries. So I'm an artist, but I also was the managing partner of art gallery. So I broke those out and listed those separately because I didn't want it to seem like I was padding my exhibit history from exhibits that I'm showing at my own venue. Then here's benefit auctions, entertainment industry. My artwork was featured in a TV show and in a movie, gallery representation, corporate art dealers, awards and honors, and publications. Okay. So was that helpful to see those examples as well?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay. Any questions about your bio, your resume, your contact page?
So most of my stuff goes back quite a ways, and it's been very sparse in the last 20 years. So I don't know if I should get rid of the old stuff or whether I should hang on to it because there's so little that's happened in recent years.
Okay, so I think you should include it. And again, I ask gallerists these questions. So life happens to us. We have children and we have to take time off, or we have a parent that gets sick and we have to take time off. So there's gaps in our career that happen just because life happens. Or, we're concentrated on showing our art at a certain period and then we're not as concentrated about that. And now we come back to it later in our life. So if you don't have a very extensive exhibit history or any entries for your resume of any kind that are recent, if it's not extensive, then you go back in time. So you could see that my exhibit history was pretty extensive. So I basically cut it off in the year 2000 and didn't put anything past 2000 except for one solo show that was in 1986. So you can present yourself in a certain way. You want to present yourself as to be in a way that shows that you're active, you're professional. But if you're just coming back to it now, then put the older things in. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay. Any
Yeah.
other questions, Lori?
No, right now mine's just by year
Okay.
and chronologically on how they appeared in each year. So it looks like I need to go back and do by category.
Yeah, I think it makes it easier to digest. I've gone to artists' websites and I've looked at their resumes that were just listed, just one long list, and they're buried down below, down halfway down is a solo show. Well, that should be up top or a museum show. Put the most prestigious stuff up front that people can't miss, and then the less important things down below. And it just highlights the most important parts of your career. Okay, so should we? Yep,
I
go
do have one question.
Mhm.
How far back should you go? Because mine is the opposite of Kathy. My fine art career was my second career for many years. So there were slower things in the beginning. And for the last 5 now, it's full bore. So there's more.
So, like when you think if you're scrolling on a page, on a website page, let's say this is a page and you scroll down, it's a second page, but it's all the same page, but it's the second, third length. Maybe by the time you get to the third or the fourth one, people start getting tired of scrolling. So you just want to, if it just goes on and on, like 5 pages, 6 pages length, you might want to shorten it.
And that's
they
digital pages you're talking about.
digital pages. I'm talking about a website. So see
Yeah.
here, this is a equivalent of a vertical page. And then you scroll and here's another vertical page. So that's what I'm calling a length.
Yeah.
So if there's 3 links on one page, that's just 3 links. So you might want to eliminate the least important or some of the older things. You don't want people just to get tired of scrolling and not read all the pertinent information. Okay, so let's go ahead and resume the presentation. Let's go back to Zoom. Okay, so the next thing we're going to talk about is your artist statement. So your artist statement is your mission statement. This is your opportunity to fully discuss your personal beliefs, influences, motivations, and purpose in making artwork. Gallerists look to this to learn about your work and know what insights they will be able to share with their clients. A well-written artist statement can be an important tool in selling your work to potential clients, especially when you're not there in person. So an artist statement can be as creative as your work. It's not one way to write an artist statement. An artist statement should, I think, include information about your style of work that you create and the materials you use. You can include why you create this type of art and what led you to your career as an artist. You can include where you find inspiration and which other artists or movements influence your work. You can include what your intentions are for your work and what you want viewers to experience when they look at your artwork. You can include why you made the choices in your work. So the last 2, to me, are the most important. When I look at an artist's body of work and I read their artist statement, I want to know what they want to say. What do they want me to experience? What are they trying to tell me? I may figure some of it out on my own, but I may not understand it all. So I want the artist statement to clarify that. And I want the artist statement to share with me why the artist made those choices. Why did they choose black? Why did they choose long and narrow? Why did they choose women's fashions? Why did why did they make these choices? What was the reason? What was the purpose of these choices? Okay. And an artist statement or an artist should write an umbrella artist statement for the entire body of work, and then write an artist statement for each individual series. And I liked an artist statement written in the first person because it is personal. These are my feelings, my beliefs. This is what I want you to share. These are things that I created. This is my artist statement. Always have someone else proofread for content and grammar and make sure that they understand your message. So I have some examples of artist statements. So I'm going to go through a few artist statements and read these out loud. So this is the first artist statement I wrote when I was in my 20s. And you can see it's very short and simple. As the artist Fernand Léger stated, color is a basic human need like fire and water, a raw material indispensable to life. In art, color is the essential material from which form is created. However, color not only serves to induce composition, color also evokes a direct emotional response. There is a strong innate experience. My work is about color, more specifically, the interaction and balance of color. I choose to work in a non-representational format with every square inch of the piece of interest to itself and balance with the rest of the piece. Note one area is of more importance than any other. Among artists that influenced me are Pierre Bonnard, Edouard Vuillard, Gustave Klimt, Mark Tobey, and Mark Rothko. All these artists' works are about strokes, gestures, patterns, and color fields. Thus, my pieces explore the same. So I chose this artist statement to share, not because it was mine, but because it's just a very brief, short, simple artist statement. It's not trying to make major statements about the world that we live in and the condition of man and the, et cetera. It's just talking about pretty directly about color and emotion and the experience of viewing color. So a lot of artists use a quote by a famous artist in their artist statement. So I decided to, back then, start my artist statement with a quote by a famous artist and then tie my work to their work. I also listed artists that influenced me here. And so as you read that, you get images of those artists' work, and you can therefore get an idea of what my work is about. Okay, so any comments or questions about that artist statement? Was it a good artist statement? Was it easy to understand? Did you like it?
I thought it was easy to understand. I thought it was interesting that you listed your influences, but personally, I wouldn't want to start with a quote by somebody else.
Okay.
And I don't know, because that immediately made me think, oh, okay, so this is a young artist. Because I kind of felt like I,
I was a young
I'm,
artist back then.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
so you're still absorbing art history
Mm.
and influences. So that's just my comment.
Okay, that's fine. And another artist, they use a quote and they end their artist statement with a quote from another artist. You don't have to use a quote from another artist at all. Lori, any comments?
I would just say that it didn't feel intimate enough.
No, it wasn't intimate. It was pretty direct. Yeah, it was pretty objective. Okay, so again, but I included it to share just, it's conversational. It's easy to read. There's no big words that are hard to understand. Okay, so, and I should have, anyway, I'll go to the next artist statement. Okay, so this is Kathleen Bettetti, and she did one paragraph. Since the early 1990s, my work has evolved. Excuse me, let me start again. Since the early 1990s, my work has involved the creation of conceptually based socio-political objects and installations. In my work, I deconstruct the American dream, fairy tales, nursery rhymes, and lullabies that are part of our childhood and adult culture. My work also addresses gender roles, gender assignment, the fragility of family dynamics, domestic violence, and underlying threads of violence and danger that underpin American society. Oftentimes, these themes are combined into installations that feature mundane domestic objects, painted pure white, and are often embellished with stenciled text. The color white establishes a dreamlike, surreal quality, suggests notions of purity and safety, and formally unifies the disparate objects in each installation. Hand stenciled text and language is a very prominent feature in my work, as this provides additional clues to content and interpretation. My conceptual sculpture weds minimal form with maximal content. Okay, so in her artist statement, I love that last sentence. It's like poetry. My conceptual sculpture weds minimal form with maximal content. The other thing I like about this artist statement is she answers the questions why. Why does she paint things white? Because they establish a dreamlike quality. They suggest notions of purity and safety, and they form a unifying formality for all the pieces. Why does she use stenciled text? She uses that to provide additional clues into the content interpretation of her work. Another thing that I noticed about this artist statement is the first two sentences are extremely long, a long list, and it's kind of repetitive. She says, addresses gender roles, gender assignment, fragility of family dynamics, domestic violence, and underlying threads of violence and danger that underpin. I mean, that's just way too long. That needs to be shortened. Okay. Any comments about this artist statement besides what I just shared?
I found it intriguing and I want to see her work now.
Yes. Actually, I have seen all the artists that were reading the artist statement. I've seen their work as well. Okay. Kathy, any comments?
Well, it looked a little bit like something you'd see in a catalog written by a curator. Um, so, but I agree with Lori that yeah, it does intrigue me. I mean, I'm picturing it and yeah, the content of it. Yeah.
So a lot of times when I read an artist statement, I've looked at the artwork first. I play this game when I go to an exhibition. I look at the artwork and then I go back and read the artist statement because I want to see if they were right. Because
Mm.
I make my own opinion and then I go and read what their opinion of their own artwork is. So it's kind of an exercise I do. A lot of people read the artist statement first and then look at the art. Okay, so let's go ahead to the next one. And this is David Hewitt. You notice he has two paragraphs. I have long been intrigued by the architecture and infrastructure of large urban cities, where new and weathered signs, buildings, and colors create a patchwork of interesting layers and textures. Seeing these objects randomly coexist and intersect with each other provides me with initial concepts and motivation to create. My work reflects a similar experience with layers of paint, images, and salvage materials. Although I often begin a new piece with a central object and color palette in mind, my work evolves freely through a process of adding layers and textures and then sanding them away. Early in my career, I painted solely with oil paints, but this quickly evolved to include acrylic, fabric, wood, metal, and other materials interesting enough to attach to the canvas. Over time, painting became creating, which then became constructing. And soon I realized that building a painting was much more satisfying to me creatively. Okay, any comments about this artist statement before I chime in? Did you like it?
Yeah.
What did you like about it?
Um, I uh, I liked the first paragraph of what sparks the initial motivation.
Okay.
Um, yeah, particularly.
I felt
Okay.
a little process heavy.
Okay. So you felt that he could have made the process section a little shorter. Okay. So as he describes his process, I can imagine how he works. I can see it in my mind. And again, he ended the artist statement with in my opinion, a fabulous sentence. Over time, painting became creating, which then became constructing. And soon I realized that building a painting was much more satisfying to me creatively.
Mhm.
I'm having a hard time with that word.
Mhm.
I've been talking for an hour and a half. So anyway, thanks for your feedback on this. Okay, now this is a longer artist statement. This is Brian Truesdale. I picked this one because it probably describes the process of abstract expressionism better than any other artist statement I've read. Okay. And he is a young person. He was in his 20s when he wrote this artist statement. I first became aware of abstract art as a teenager. Growing through books in my high school art class, the images I saw of abstract expressionism were bold and frightening, the sources of passions and nightmares. I was mesmerized, and that fascination led me to an open studio abstract painting class at a crucial point in my life when I sought to channel my emotions. The blank surface is a source of fear and transcendence. My paintings are a continuous search to find the key to the mystery of lines, color, and texture built up in layers of underpainting. I seek to find and develop the focal point, like a beacon in the chaotic noise of life. My process requires periods of study and reflection, alternating with periods of intense application. I believe in balancing outbursts of spontaneity, which bring the painting alive, with deliberate refinements that bring focus to the piece. I may paint or draw a single line or mark repeatedly, scraping away the edges with my finger, repeating the obliteration and restoration until what I see has the right intensity and rhythm. It's what the abstract artist sees in these layers that defines their unique language. My art has a conscious process, but it's not just an intellectual exercise. It's about the feeling or emotional response you get from viewing the work. The great rewards of art are the sharing of the human spirit and the experience of sensation and discovery. So much in this life is so distant and disconnected that if a painting is compelling, if it can elicit a visceral response in a viewer, then it has succeeded. Okay, any comments about this artist statement? Lori?
I think it's the best one we've seen so far because it talks about himself, his process, and then the emotion of his work.
Okay, good.
It's definitely the one I could relate to the most. Especially the second paragraph.
It's hard to describe how one paints.
Well, yeah, but he's describing it as I mean, he's describing it from inside out. So the
Yes.
previous one was describing it almost mechanically. But this one, I feel like I'm getting insight into
Okay.
this guy's head. Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, and just to let you know, again, the artist statements that we're reading will be included in the PDF file, and so you can read those. Okay, so let's go to the next art statement. And for some reason, my screen is not allowing me to hit my arrow. So I'm going to unshare and then share again. And now I can get back. Okay, there. And then this is the last artist statement we're going to read. And again, this is one of mine. And this is one that is more recent and it breaks all the rules. So it's not written in the first person. It's very different. And I'm reading this to you as an example that not all the artist statements need to be the same way. This is for a series called The Personification of Man. The modern world is a challenging place. We endure threats of nuclear war, international terrorism, economic collapse, corporate greed, rampant consumerism, governmental corruption, worldwide epidemics, global warming, and natural disasters. But we go on about our daily lives, basically pretending that all is well in order to survive with some semblance of normalcy. The personification series consists of portraits configured of imagery from this threatening world. These persons exhibit intense facial expressions of fear, anger, shock, amazement, frustration, consternation, disbelief, wariness, caution, or numbness. Many are screaming and yelling in reaction to the surrounding world. Many are wearing masks, goggles, and visors or helmets, symbolizing the separation and isolation they must create to protect themselves and endure this bombardment of the world out of control. The imagery is overlaid on images of found papers, including scientific, technological, and governmental documents, diagrams, and maps depicting the ubiquitous pressures of the outside world. Most pieces are monochromatic in black, white, and gray, reflecting the world's bleak and colorless prospects, with silver metallic layers emphasizing the cold technical aspect of this world. So one of the things that I did is I used long lists of things purposely to wear you down as the artwork is supposed to wear you down. We endure threats of nuclear war, international terrorism, economic collapse, on and on and on. These persons exhibit facial expressions of fear, anger, shock, etc. The images are from found papers, including scientific, technological, governmental documents, etc. So it's written in a style to represent the artwork itself, to wear you down. It is written in a third person. It is written in an objective way. The last paragraph is answering my questions that I ask in any artist statement. Why? Why are the pieces in black, white, and gray? Because they reflect the world's bleak and colorless prospects. Why do they have silver metallic layers? Because they emphasize the cold technical aspect of this world. Okay, so was this helpful to read several different artist statements and different styles and techniques for artist statements? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions about artist statements before we wrap up?
Mm.
None.
Okay. Okay, so let's resume and finish up. So, usually I have more people and I ask if you'd like me to send you a PDF file, but I will automatically email you with a PDF file of the presentation after we're finished. And just to let you know, every other Monday in the spring and the fall, I do programs that are $25 for 1 hour programs and $35 for 2 hour programs. So in October, I'm doing a program about talking about your artwork and approaching art galleries for representation. In November, there's navigating the path to museum exhibitions and how to apply for artist grants and residencies. And just to let you know, I do one-on-one consulting with artists. It's usually $145 for an hour session. So I have a first-time special of $99 to help you develop strategy, goals, and action plans and answer any questions that you may have. And for California artists, there's a program called the Quick Grant Program, and they award reimbursement up to $600 for professional development activities. So if you wanted, you could work with me and have 4 free 1 hour sessions, and the Quick Grant Program would reimburse you for that. And they actually pay you up front before the activity begins. And if you need more information about how to do that, just email me and I'd be happy to share with you how to go about applying for the Quick Grant Program. I do art and food tours in Mexico City and in Chicago. So in February of 2026, I'm doing art and food tours to visit art galleries and check out the art scene in Mexico City, which is phenomenal. So there's information about that. And if you're interested in registering for any consultation or any programs, the Artist Network website is sfartistnetwork.org. And if you know of other artists that you think would benefit from these programs, please share the website link to the Artist Network programs with them or forward the emails to them. Okay, so did you find this helpful overall, the entire program?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, it's good to dip in for sure.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you, this is something I ask everybody at the end of any program, just to get your feedback. So please share with me one thing that you felt was the most important or something new that you hadn't heard before in tonight's presentation. So Lori, I'm going to start with you. If you wouldn't mind sharing with me one key takeaway from tonight's program.
Oh gosh, I have so much written down. I think for me, it's starting to clarify my organization, and I realize I have my bio and my CV on, but I don't have an artist statement. I use it all the time, but I actually don't have it on my portfolio
Okay.
or on my website.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, okay.
Okay.
I have multiple ones written that I use to apply to shows and things like that. but I just realized I don't have it on my website. So
Okay.
that was like, "Ding."
Okay. Okay, and then Kathy, you want to share with me one thing that you felt was new or important that you heard in tonight's program?
Definitely the structure of the series and the portfolio page.
Okay.
That was that was new and helpful and makes me feel like I need to reorganize my website.
Okay. So the reason why I share the structure with you is that that before the portfolio review, maybe you do some work to make it easier for the gallerists to view your website and see your artwork. But you can also ask them questions about the structure of your artwork, of your website and the navigation. Okay, so I'm glad you could join me tonight, and be sure to email me with the link to a hot link to your website so I can review that. And
That was by the 6th, right? By the 6th of October?
by this coming Sunday,
Oh, that's the 5th.
5th,
Okay,
yes.
okay,
And then on Monday, the 6th, I will review everybody's websites and email you with any comments or tell you you're good to go. And then on Thursday next week, I'll share your website links with the gallery owners.
okay.
Okay. Okay, good to meet both of you, and I'm glad that you found this was helpful, and I look forward to seeing you 2 weeks from tonight for the portfolio reviews.
Thanks so much, Stefan.
I
Really
Okay.
have a lot of
appreciate
work
it.
to do in the next 2 weeks.
Okay.